Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First of all, I'd like to remind the Chamber that my wife works part-time for CalMac. I'm pleased that the motion before us today is to note the report and not support it, as I certainly can't support everything in it. I want to start with two brief points. So, firstly, I thought the layout was helpful to any reader who is exploring this issue for the first time. And secondly, when the opposition call for a ministerial sacking in the future, I'm sure this report will actually be referenced. The executive summary provides a good understanding of what is covered in the report and, importantly, highlights the challenge of providing standardised ferries and ports. But what the report fails to explain, however, is how this would actually be done. It also fails to recognise what comes first and how it will be paid for. Page 57 onwards, it does not provide the answers. Also, the job that CMAL have been undertaking with regards to ports infrastructure certainly fulfils this task. And the point which appears to have been forgotten is that ferry procurement in the past was based on the existing infrastructure instead of planning ahead. And this could tie in with the proposed CHIF 3 contract award for 10 years, as has been suggested. Now, recommendation 29 of the report suggests, and I quote, ensuring that it delivers real improvements for communities. Now, CalMac of the past was of its day and possibly not challenged anywhere near enough. But the current contract award had 350 improvements to be made, indicative of how little attention had been paid to modernising the business until Martin Dorchester became the Chief Executive. Now, the first of the key points for my constituency and myself are recommendations 21 and 22 with regards to the direct award. There's something that I support in principle, but recognise that the many hurdles that this would face. Also support a direct award of the small vessels programme to be built at Ferguson Marine, for that matter. In addition to this, recommendation 63 will, however, sound alarm bells in my constituency. The potential to tie in moving either the HQ or HQ staff from Greenock to elsewhere in the network will be challenged across my constituency. And I'm sure there will be some understanding as to why a small number of positions could be moved. However, a route and branch removal of CalMac from Greenock will not be accepted. I note that the RMT briefing for this debate, they support the direct award, but they're silent on the jobs potentially leaving Greenock, something I'm sure that they would end up campaigning on in the future. The executive summary also mentions the evaluation of the road equivalent tariff, the RET. Now, my reading of this leads me to suspect that this is about increasing costs for business while offering up cheaper fares for younger passengers. The socio-economic impact mentioned in recommendation 25 of the report would certainly be of interest here if the island's business community were to pay more to ship their goods to the mainland to subsidise younger passengers. I realise that the Scottish Government are undertaking a fares fare review to consider all aspects of travel, but I'm sure that businesses wouldn't want to be penalised, especially if they are making a profit. And with that, I'll reference recommendation 49 of the report. The recommendation 11 and the tripartite relationship is the second of the key points of this report for me and also my constituency. It's clear that there has been a long-held vendetta against CMAL and, by extension, its workforce, even after the positive report from Audit Scotland in March 2022. The vendetta was obvious in the last Parliament session, and also, sadly, it continues today. Now, what is clear, however, is that the relationship between all three tripartite partners needs to be more transparent, which Project Neptune aimed to address. Sadly, Project Neptune left more questions than answers, and that was clear at the two briefings that I attended along with other MSPs from across the Chamber. Recommendations 15 and 16 in this report highlight the considerations about merging CMAL with either CalMac or Transport Scotland based on the Project Neptune report. Now, I've got grave concerns over these suggestions, and this committee report highlights the rationale for breaking up CalMac in 2006, which actually was very helpful in terms of the historical element as to why we are where we are now. But in comparison, CMAL's focus on investing in port infrastructure is testament to their skills and a task that was long overdue. Now, merging with Transport Scotland to create a Ferry Scotland could be merit-worthy, but it cannot be at any cost. This is where the local socio-economic impacts come into consideration. CMAL is based in Port Glasgow, in my constituency, employing 50 people. Not everyone will live locally, but the staff do contribute to the local economy. If a structure change were to happen, placing the workforce somewhere else, it would have a serious socio-economic impact upon the town and also my constituency. And I don't believe that the authors of the report have fully considered this impact if recommendation 16 is pursued. And as co-chair of the Inverclyde Socio-Economic Task Force, alongside the Council leader Stephen McCabe, I cannot stand here today and ignore how devastating the loss of 50 jobs to Port Glasgow would be. If a merger occurred as per recommendation 16, or some form of new structure is implemented, there needs to be a no-detriment policy for my constituency. Now, why should my constituency be negatively impacted when it is already top of the list, sadly, of many negative socio-economic factors? In addition, and something that's also been touched upon in this chamber before, I don't agree with the calls to shut Ferguson's and base it down Inchgreen Dry Dock. Even without considering the vast amounts of capital money that would be required for this, it would have a devastating effect upon Port Glasgow town centre. Local businesses have already told me that they would shut. The town centre would be decimated if the yard were to relocate. The town would never recover, and the population decline would increase at a rate not seen since the decimation of the shipbuilding industry locally under the Tories from 1979. Although there are some aspects of this report which will be positive for other parts of the country, it raises grave concerns and could be detrimental for my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency. Thank you.